Welcome back. This is the fourth video in this series. This video we will be creating a reactor, so the servers will auto-run states based on events. We'll get into building out the states so that when a server launches, it'll automatically run the stuff that we want it to. You can set it up to run orchestration and some of the other things, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to have it run our state file, our top state. And the reactor is basically a listener to the event bus, and it will listen for specific events and then fire states based on those events. So we're going to get that set up and do some testing with it. I've already launched, restarted my two servers, my Bastion host, my SaltMaster. I wanted to take just a quick second and talk about the Bastion host and how that actually works. So what I have set up on my local machine is I have just a binary that I created called SSH. It's called run SSH agent, and this is just a script I found online. But basically, what it does is it runs the agent and reconnects to the same agent PID if it's already running. That way you don't get a bunch of them that kind of spiral. And then I have some if logic here based on what server I'm doing or whatever, so I can add different criteria. I just put salt in here because that's what I called it on my config. And then in my SSH config, so in my SSH config, you can see I have my SaltMaster file here, and it's got the EC2 user. This is the current IP of the SaltMaster, and this is the current IP of the Bastion host. And again, that'll change next time I reboot it or whatever. I'm not setting static IPs on this stuff. This is all just for demonstration purposes. So likely by the time you see this video, that IP won't be real anymore. Anyway, so the way it works is I basically just can run, just do like run SSH agent and then SaltMaster, and it pulls the config from my SSH and it runs the Bastion. So you can see now that I am on the SaltMaster. So the 192.168.10.142 is in fact the IP of the SaltMaster. So that's how the Bastion host stuff works. You use the SSH proxy for that. So anyway, SSH config. So just this proxy command here. You have to have the forwarding agent and then your proxy command, and then this passes in the host and port for the connection. So that's how that works, and then it passes through your private key through the SSH agent. So anyway, that's how and why it works, and it works fabulously. So run SSH agent SaltMaster. Okay. All right. So go create our reactor. So first of all, we have to define it. So we need to go into our SaltMaster, and there isn't anywhere in this file, there isn't reactors listed anywhere in this config. And you can actually do if you do master, like master.d here, you can actually create a reactors config right here, reactors.conf, and then in here we can go ahead and create our reactor, and we want it to be salt minion star start. Okay, so the wildcard in there will catch any minion that hits this, so we can watch for that. And another thing you can use for this is you can use it to do your SSH, do the salt keys. So you can manage your salt keys with the same process. SRB reactor. reactor, and let's call this startup.sls. Okay, now we need to go and create this. So srv main directory reactor startup. Okay, so in our startup, we're just going to do a state underscore run. You can call that whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, and you can put logic around this. You know, like if OS is Red Hat, or if your grain is some whatever. You can build if structure logic around this if you want. But all we really want to do is run our state, our top state. So DGT, this is our target, and we're going to read from our data variable the ID, and and our argument is going to be the state file itself. I get that 1, 2 SDA. Let's see. Start up top.sls is what we actually called it. Now there's an option here to pass in what's called kwrg, so kwargs. And to be totally honest, really all I know is that it passes arguments into the whatever it is you're calling. So as near as I can tell, you know, if you set any of these in here, it'll pass it into whatever state you want to run. But I don't really know how that works. Maybe I'll do some research and do a video on that later, but for now I'm going to put this in here. I don't know if it's required or not. I just have always done that, and it works fine, so we're just going to run with it. Okay, so our reactor's in here now, and we got to restart our salt master. So let's see, d salt master. I'm just going to do a start. Okay, now let's see, salt. Okay, now that should run. Let's go look and see what our state looks like. Salt base start up top. Okay, so it's set up to do looks like Apache and WordPress. Let's look at that Apache state. Okay, so it's just doing the package, but actually it's doing the PHP package. I don't know why I did it that way, but whatever. Let's go look and see what that looks like. Okay, so let's drop into dev and look at the Apache state. Okay, so it's just a couple of configs in there. Okay, let's clean this up a little bit. Let's go back to this pillar, back to the state. Salt. Dev. WordPress. Okay, owner, user, that looks good. Extracted, WordPress. Okay, all that stuff looks good. This is all stuff we did in the last video, so I'm just catching back up to where we left off because I haven't looked at this in a couple of days. Okay, good. I've got the full state in there. This is something I wrote a while ago. I'm just reusing it because why not, right? Alright, let's just fire this off and see where we're at, and then we can adjust after the fact. So let's see here. We're on Salt cloud.maps dev, and we'll do that in parallel. Let's just run it. Oh, it doesn't like something. What? Oh. My bad. Okay, in this section I wanted to, I just wanted to kind of fast forward through this part because what I had actually done is I'd actually deleted the NAT gateway in order to save some costs. So in this part of the video, I'm just figuring that out and then re-adding it and stuff. But I wanted to kind of skip ahead to save time. So anyway, that's why we're jumping to just rerunning it again right now. And we're gonna do salt cloud-m cloud.maps dev. And then you can see I've got debug turned on, so you can get like that truckload of stuff scroll by. I forgot that I turned that on in the last one. Let's get this window open here. SSH agent, Bastion. We can do salt. State. I had it wrong. This is what we want. So we can see the events. Okay. So you can see here, these are the different events that we're watching for. That's the startup. You can see it ran this job here, and it ran it based on, just had all this stuff scroll by. Yeah, all this. Okay, so let's just wait for this to finish. Trying to connect to the server, the second one. The other one's already launched. It's taking forever to connect. I wonder why it's doing that. Both there. It's just still initializing. Well, still initializing. Interesting. Oh, there it went. Alright. Okay. So it should throw it in the trace here, in the event bus. Pretty quick. As soon as this is done, it'll start up the minion, and then the minion will register with the salt master, and the bus will see it and then trigger the reactor, and then the reactor will call the high state, or it'll call the top state. Okay, so it just started. See, and then that ran. So then this job over here is actually called the top state. Okay, so now this is actually running all the other stuff. Yeah, anyway. Okay, now. Yeah. So there went that. That just did the state for the other. So just wait for a second. We can do SaltStack service start HTTPD. Okay, so started up our servers. Apparently the minion on the local started too. That's funny. Okay. So let's check our load balancer. I should still have one. I don't think I deleted that. Maybe I did. Nope, that's still here. So let's add our 2 servers to it. And watch them to see if these show up. In the meantime, we can manually check to see if that server's gonna work. So we're gonna do so I'm going to create 2 more entries here, one for each of the dev servers. So we're going to do salt dev 1, dev 2, and the only thing that changes is this internal IP address here. So we gotta grab those. Going to be so this is 192.168.10.35, and this one is 192.168.11.252. Another in different zones. Oops. Yeah, that would have been silly. Okay, so now we can go to run. Oops. Agent and salt dev 1. So we go, oops, oh, where do we drop WordPress? Yeah, WordPress is right there. Oh, it's WordPress. We need to fix that. But it's all owned by the right user, so that's good. And I'm sure the path is wrong in Apache because it nested itself. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, look at that. Huh. So that's cool. So maybe it does work. Let's look at the load balancer. just do TCP for now. Sometimes this health check doesn't quite work right if the immediate page is a redirect page, because it just sees it as a 302 or a 303 depending. And I know for a fact that because this is a fresh dump of WordPress, yeah, see, it's probably not going to be, it's probably going to be like, you got to change the permissions on your config directory after you blah 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 blah. So let's just give it a go. Okay, well, oops, WordPress, not that I expect that to work, and it didn't. Okay, so this is dumping to the default HTML page, which means we have to configure something else. Where's my other window? Oh, did I close it out? I closed it out. No worries. SSH salt dev 1. Oops. Yeah, run SSH salt dev 1. Okay, so add httpd conf. You know what I think I'll do actually? Yeah, let's do that. So here on the master, server salt dev WordPress. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do var dev.html, and we'll do a file.symlink. We'll do target is name is, actually don't even need that. Target, this is going to be opt WordPress /WordPress. I believe that's the right syntax for that, but you know, I'm not 100%, so let's take a look at salt stack file dot symlink. Okay, states file down here to symlink. Okay, so so target, that's right. So I did have it right. That's fine. And then we also want to force it because the HTML directory already exists. So equals true. And let's go ahead and assign the user. We'll use the same code up here for this so that the user is the right one. And same for a group. And let's rerun our state. So salt g at dev test.p. Just make sure there's just the two, and we'll do state.top start up top as. Okay, now it should create a symlink. So if we go here to var web, see now the HTML is now symlinked to WordPress. So now if we come over here, refresh this, I have to restart Apache. Oh, it didn't like something. What's it crying about now? Server 2 was already installed. Package installed. Oh, I don't care about that. We can fix it later. Let's do service.stop httpd And switch to the okay. Now, come on. Why is it doing this? Nothing's ever simple. Okay, so it doesn't like client denied by server configuration to the WordPress folder because it's a symlink, blah blah blah. Should be why that matters. Alright, fine. Let's do this. WordPress. Let's do var HTML name is going to be var HTML. Right. Let's see what that works, if that does it. Oh, that's not gonna work. HTML/index. Maybe. We'll try that. Now this piece can go away for now. So we're gonna stop that again. And we're gonna do a command run. I'm gonna do rm-rf opt WordPress. And we're also going to do arm-rf on the symlink. Actually, it won't matter. Let's go ahead and run the state now. I'll make sure that yeah, okay, good. So it'll re-extract that now, but it should put it in var web. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't like it because I didn't clear off that symlink. So let's do that real quick. Where's my, what the heck? Didn't keep my command.run command. My history, that's weird. .run -rf var web HTML. Okay, that should be gone now. It is. And let's create it as, because it would have been directory var web, because by default it would have existed, and I need to make sure that it's going to run. Okay, so now let's rerun our top state and see if it'll extract to the right place. It's a little happier. Still crying about Apache, but that's expected, to be honest. Okay, so now in HTML, oh, still WordPress folder. Alright, well, it gives us something to try, so we can at least do this. Let's restart our HTTP. Oops. Doesn't want to start because I think I know why. Because of this. Apache init, yes. This directory. So we want change the pillar. Pillar dev Apache document root var HTML. Okay. We're going to rerun our top state. Okay, now it looks like Apache actually started. So, yeah, so it's running. Okay, so now we just go back to the load balancer and refresh. Okay, they're both in there now. So now we come up here and go wordpress. So the error page that we're looking at right now is actually a bug with the distribution with the Linux, with the Amazon Linux PHP 5.5 module or RPM package, M package. And basically what it's doing is it's looking for the wrong PHP INI file, and it's not loading the MySQL shared libraries. At this point, we're just going to kind of fast forward, kind of skip ahead in the video to where we've got everything kind of up and running. I ended up, redoing some things and adding some other stuff and doing a few other things, trying to debug and trying to figure this out without going into too much craziness. We're just going to skip ahead, and then we'll cover in the video all the changes that I made. So, just a recap. I deleted the two that I spun up from the last Salt Cloud, and we're going to launch them again. Before I do that, let's do a quick walkthrough on what I've changed. So in my Salt base, I created this Apache's state file, and this is something that I had written a while ago, and basically you use the pillar data here for version, service, and where the configs is located, and then this just is a to install the package. This is the service, so you can see if it's you can do things like is it running, and then these two are just sort of functional modules that you can use to reload, stop and start the services, which you can do obviously with the command .run stuff, but this allows you to do it during the states. This next section here is for modifying config entries. So for example, the username, whoever the user and group is that's going to run Apache, for example. And I have something similar for PHP. Again, version, config, this is the install line. This is where it will run the Apache restart. Once this is where it reads through the config, and then this is where it installs your module, or I guess this is Composer. I'm not using Composer on this one. This was from another environment. But it'll install Composer if you have that set up. And this is the module piece where it installs the different modules. So this is the install of PHP itself, and then it loops through the modules. So what the pillars look like: pillar base PHP. So you can see I've got all my modules listed here that I want for this, and then my adjustments to the PHP settings file. And for Apache, similar in that I've just got the Apache version, the package version, and then the stuff I want for it, and then where the config is going to be, and then the user and group. So it's pretty straightforward. This is the user's state, so I can create system users or regular users or whatever. Pillar base users, or the system. I think I did system. Yeah, so you can see I've got my. And if you put the encryption key and public key, if you do encryption with like RSA and then your SSH key here, it'll make it so that you can SSH in as that user. So if you're if you've got your own key and you want your own user account on there, then you can do that. But I found that I pretty much just use the EC2 user for everything, so there's really no need to put your own keys on there unless you've got a bunch of people and you need to keep accountability track. So having said that, let's go ahead and relaunch my let's go ahead and relaunch the cloud. I don't need both in there though, so let's, for now, we'll just do the one. Salt Cloud Maps. And yes. So we can see it's launched it already, and it's waiting for the status checks. So we'll just wait for it. We can also so we can run this state here so we can see it. So it runs through the states. It's not liking something. How did we do? I don't think that doesn't look like that server has internet access. I'm only using one in that gateway, and it should be in both. Yeah, it's in both. Great. I need to figure that out. Oh, maybe it did run. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Should have also run the high state. Yeah. let's try it. Yeah, it did. Cool. So let's put that then in our load balancer. And save. And let's just see if it comes up. Assuming that everything worked correctly. It might have just worked. Okay, and we put the WordPress right here. Look at that. Huh, see? So what it did, just want to go, we can walk through this, what happened here. So with our reactor, we have our reactor startup. Okay, so this is what we did for our reactor, and we're just calling this startup top. And in our salt base, we have here is our startup top, and it's installing. That was just a test thing we did for, well, anyway, it's got users, and then it's got our Apache, PHP, and WordPress. And it just runs them in that order once it comes up. So, literally having just ran, we literally ran this command, and it launched a server, and it installed WordPress and set up Apache and installed PHP and all the modules and everything. So had we already had a database configured and a configuration file, you know, for WordPress to drop in, then it just would have loaded the site. So that kind of gives you an example of how powerful this stuff can be. You know, we could launch as many servers as we wanted, and it would just, you know, you could scale it up, you know, as easily as that. With WordPress, there are some other caveats. Obviously, there's a shared file system you have to set up and things like that when you start doing load balancing, but that's, you know, more in-depth SaltStack stuff, and maybe I'll do some more, you know, some videos later on, like, you know, deep dive salt stuff. So we'll see how many people, you know, like this video, like the SaltStack videos, and if we get enough, you know, people liking it, then, you know, maybe we'll do some more deep dive stuff on the states and the SaltStack stuff. So this kind of finishes up this, you know, little series here on SaltStack and getting it up and running. I have gone to a couple of the Salt conferences, and I'll go again hopefully this spring. They're a pretty good place to pick up a lot of information. I am Salt certified. I passed the test that they offer. So I have, you know, like I said, I've been doing this for a little while. Anyway, just kind of a fun little thing, fun little, you know, utility you can work with to automate and deploy software. Anyway, if you like, you know, SaltStack stuff, then you know, click like on this so I know, and then I will consider doing more videos on SaltStack stuff. Anyway, have a good one.